Namaste. Today, I am going to describe a practice for you toward integration, moving into wholeness. What are you thinking right now? Do you know? Can you identify your own thoughts? What's going on in your mind? Most people can tell you what's on their minds at any given moment. How many times a day do we begin a sentence with, I think, or I think, even if what follows really isn't a product of the mind? A question I ask myself more and more now is, what am I feeling in this moment? Not what am I thinking, but what am I feeling? And you can try this right now. You can close your eyes or put them at half-mast. Put your hand over your heart maybe, if that makes it easier for you, and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Take a breath or two. And then open your eyes again. Likely there was an onslaught of feelings and sensations coming at you, right? It's a lot. And you might have thought, where do I begin? How do I even begin to say what I'm feeling? Feelings are complicated because the human system is composed of so many things, so many bodies, really. And when you add an ever-changing landscape or environment to that, it can feel totally overwhelming. You can feel like you don't really know where you are. How to locate a particular feeling becomes difficult. When does a thought turn into a feeling, for instance? What is the difference between a sensation and a feeling? And my feeling right now is probably not what I'm going to feel in 10 minutes. Do I answer this question from the perspective of my physical body, or do I talk about my emotions? How do we sort out the many layers of our being and understand how to address them, how to nurture each of these layers, how to integrate all these layers into wholeness, into oneness? We tend to bump into feelings and emotions and even thoughts as though we're swimming in an ocean without any agency, without any rudder. And the water is suddenly cold and we shiver, and the water is suddenly too hot and we feel like we might be burning up, and we bump into other people who have other feelings and emotions, and we take those on, and we begin to feel like we have no power at all over our experience of living in this body in an ever-changing landscape. We can feel completely overwhelmed. I'm happy to offer a practice to you today to sort out your responses to that question, what am I feeling right now? And to understand how to process what we call in general feeling. The art of yoga includes understanding that we have 4 bodies within our sovereignty, and these 4 bodies roughly align with what we call the koshas in yoga. There is the physical body, the energy body, the mental body, and then the emotional body. And these 4 bodies are all within our range of perception, a range of differentiation. We can differentiate between them or among them, and we can care for them, each one of them separately. Much of our yoga practice is in fact devoted to the care and feeding of these 4 bodies, the nurturing. Say you have 4 plants in a room, 4 different plants, and each one has a different set of instructions, care instructions, but they're all living together, and each one has its own watering system and its own feeding system, and then it has its own needs for light. And so you go in and you care for each one of these plants separately. And then you stand back and you look at these 4 plants together, being together, living together, glowing together, and doing their thing together. And you sigh because they are happy and all is right with the world. When we understand the separate expressions and needs and activities of our 4 lower bodies, we can better understand ourselves and integrate ourselves into wholeness. Right? This is called integration. And you know the word, the kind of buzzword now, embodiment? We can embody wisdom. That can't be done if you're not tending to the 4 lower bodies. Embodying wisdom is a lot of work. I mean, you got to remember to ask the questions. You got to remember to stop and collect the data. So without judgment and without shame, you don't want to shame your emotional body. You don't want to judge your thoughts and feelings. You are simply collecting data so that everything can move toward wholeness. So one by one, we look at these 4 bodies, and at the start of each class, most classes that I am leading, I ask students to pause and run through their 4 lower bodies. And then at the end of class, I ask them to pause and run through their 4 lower bodies. And in this way, one can understand the effects of particular practices on particular parts of ourselves. So you may find that a practice really doesn't suit your mental body. You may find resistance coming up. And that's not helpful in a yoga practice, right? Not too helpful anyway. Or you may find that a breathing practice makes you feel terrible inside, that your energy feels awful inside. You don't feel settled. And so that's not a good practice for you. And conversely, you may find practices that really make you feel whole and integrated, or a practice that particularly calms your busy mind, or a breathing practice that really makes you feel like you're in harmony with the world. And so how could you know this if you don't collect the data before the class and collect the data after the class? Don't you want to know what's true for you? I mean, what's really true. Not what you think might be true, but what is true. You can go in and ask the questions. So running through these 4 bodies, how do we do this practice? The physical body, you kind of come into the weight and generalized feel of the body, the tone of the body, the mass and the shape. Like, can you close your eyes and what is the shape of my body? What does it feel like on the inside? And how is it sitting, or how am I standing? What does it feel like in space in this moment? And then you can take your general temperature and the tone of the body. Does the body feel rigid today, or does it feel loose? And then you do a body scan from the feet up. Generally, I go from the feet up to the shoulders and then down through the hands and then from the neck up. This is just data. And with the physical body, we are taking note of sensations and messages the body is delivering to us. So if we can apprehend this, we can listen to the body better instead of trying to whip it into shape. Right? The energy body, how do we witness the energy body? This is, of course, more subtle. There are general ways we speak about the body. We might say, oh, I've got so much energy today. I just feel like running around the house 7 times. And that's clear, right? You have an abundance of energy. It wants to move outside of the body. Your energy body is inside the body and outside the body. It moves, the body is its center, but it does move outside the body. Other questions or other signals you may pick up are pulsations in the physical body. You may feel like little pulses somewhere in the body. These are energy pulsations. You may feel zaps because, of course, your nervous system is a big part of your energy body, driving the energy body. You may feel a sensation of movement, even if you're still, sitting still. Well, that's interesting. That's your energy body moving inside and around you, and it's perceptible. And then you might feel very heavy or very light. That is a factor of energy. And does the energy feel trapped inside the body, or does it feel expansive, like it's moving out into the room? The mental body, how might you characterize the quality of your mind in a particular moment? Is it fuzzy? Is it sharp? Is it busy? Is the mind empty? Is the mind sluggish? Is it difficult to put your mind on something? Is it distracted? Is it hard to concentrate on something? And what are the qualities of your thoughts? Is there a cast to your thoughts? And that is helpful information, particularly when it comes to the emotional body. And you're not judging, you're just noticing. Is the mind perseverating? Is the mind projecting into the future, or is it hanging on to the past? Is it stuck in a memory? Just noticing. And finally, the emotional body. There are at least 500 words to describe the emotions that a human system can experience. The word emotion is emotion, something moving out. These are feelings and particular feelings with color, right? Some kind of color moving out of the body. This is on a good day. So emotions are designed to move. They're designed to move through us. We're not designed to, we're not meant to evade emotions or ignore them. When that happens, they get stuck inside us. They get stuck inside the fascia, and then you have to go see 3 practitioners to help you release emotions so you can have a good cry, right? Picking up on your emotional life is really helpful. I find it so helpful. And when you close your eyes and go into the emotional body, you may perceive that you are on the edge of an emotion that's big. And you may recognize that you don't have the time, or this is not the place to experience that emotion, but you're picking up the information that it's there and that it wants to be known. And so you will make time for it. So what is the general tone of your emotional body in this moment? And are there particular emotions you can locate right now? And are there any you want to feel right now, or any that you will perhaps allow to move through you at a later time? So these are the 4 lower bodies, and when they're integrated, that is, each having its place and knowing its place in your system, and each known by your higher intelligence and cared for and acknowledged, even loved, we call that integration. How do we take care of these bodies? First, we witness them as they are without judgment and in kindness. You start out, with a gratitude practice and deciding you're going to be kind to yourself, right? And then you ask them what they want. Technically, the physical body is fed by food and good exercise, good food and good exercise. The energy body is nourished by a breathing practice. The mental body is nourished by good company, by spiritual inquiry, by mantra, and with a concentration practice. And the emotional body, whose content is mostly produced by thoughts, is tended by flow. Your kind attention and flow. An emotion is a feeling in motion. When there is resistance to flow, the emotion gets stuck. So we can make a practice of identifying these hidden emotions and inviting their expression. And so that leads me to the end of this talk. How amenable are you to this practice? To really wanting, desiring integration in your life? How amenable are you to taking care of your 4 lower bodies that have served you so well in this life and to this point? Are you ready to kind of hold their hands, to water them, to feed them, and to put them in the right light? If any bit of this talk has been of service to you or of use to you, please subscribe to the Grace School of Yoga YouTube channel. And also, if you liked this particular post, then please give it a thumbs up. In that way, I know what content you are really interested in and which content will serve you best. I am Judy McClain from the Grace School of Yoga, and I'm so glad you came today. Thank you for your kind attention. Namaste.